necessarily about some cool new craft or anything that I'm building that's out of this world. A lot of these videos are for my two boys. I might not be around forever, so I need something to show them the process of figuring out problems and just how to do very simple stuff. So we'll start with a very simple plywood extension for a baby or a pet gate. Here I am drawing out the general dimensions. Before I cut anything or design anything, I always like to get a mental image of what I'm working on, make sure that I'm not making issues with cuts or exceeding a particular dimension. It keeps me from having to come back and modify things afterwards. So in this case, the gate portions are just a square. The space that they're covering is a diagonal, but it's still just a square. There's two mounting points, one's 44 inches and one's 47 inches, so I need to be able to meet the minimum and the maximum distance depending on which mounting point is going to be more stable. So I just wanted to design one thing that fits between those. So here I'm doing the math on the length of the baby gate plus the length of the baby gate extension and the overall distance of 44 to 47 inches. So I come up with that I need to make an 8 1/4 inch plywood extension to be able to fill both of those gaps. Here I'm just drawing out the two different extensions plus the extension that I want to make. So the 27 3/4 inches plus a 6-inch metal extension plus what I'm going to build. It's going to be 8 1/4 inches. Now on top of that they have the legs that press into the walls. So I have one on each side and they compress down to about the width of an inch. So I'm compensating 2 inches within my measurements to be able to handle that. Here I am on just a piece of plywood that I already had laying around. So now I'm using my guide board, which I know is straight, getting out my circular saw and 2 clamps. Once I have the 2 dimensions marked for 8 1/4 inches, the offset on my saw is 1 5/8. So I just measure that and then I compensate inward because I'm going to be doing what I would consider a right hand cut, which is where I'm pushing towards the right hand side of the board, like towards the edge, and so here I am clamping my guide board and I'm going to be rotating it so it sits over the insulation. This insulation was one of the best purchases I ever made. It's great for cutting plywood on the floor as long as you control blade depth on the circular saw. I've used it for 4 years and it still works perfectly. I've never had to get binded or have anything under that got caught by the saw just because I'm very careful. So here we are setting up for the cut. I'm making sure that I don't have anything hidden under the board. Just use the guide board, cut straight across. I have my 8 1/4 inch section of plywood. And now I'm back on the board doing the rest of the measurements. So the board that I had was about 36 inches long, but the baby gate is only 32 inches high. The hole spacing for the mounts is 31 1/2 inches from center to center. So knowing that, I need to take my board and I need to measure 31 inches, and I want the bottom portion of the board to be flush with the ground so that I'm not moving the baby gate higher. So right now I'm measuring 1 inch off the bottom, and then I'm going to measure 31 1/2 inches off the bottom, because I misspoke, it's 30 1/2 inches from hole to hole. And I'll mark them on center on this side of the board and on the other side of the board. So I'll mark them on both sides of the board, and then I'll cut, or I'll drill into the center hole with something with a bit wide enough to fit the foot spacers for the baby gate. So here I spent about 20 minutes going through my junk drawer of old tools to figure out what size hole I needed and if I had any junk hardware laying around that I could use to fit that. So I drew a hole on my table so that I know the size bit that I need and the size of the bolt that I need. And then I proceed to set up the drill with the correct size drill bit. I think I use a 5/8 drill bit. And then I start measuring my holes and then marking for center and drilling. This, and so since I couldn't find the rest of my foam brushes like this, I just decided to use a Home Depot wooden pencil. It's the correct circumference to be able to fit in the hole, and it's strong enough because it's going to be at the bottom and to be able to keep the gate from kicking out. So once I've gotten the dowel size, it's just a matter of packing the hole with wood glue, putting some wood glue on the dowel, putting it in the hole, and letting it dry. Once that's done, then I have So once I got the dowels in there and glued, I just waited about an hour for the glue to set and then did a test fit. So using a clamp on one side, it allowed it to glue. So here's the spacer. Everything fits flush against the floor. All in all, it ended up being a good thing. So for my boys, it's just about, figuring out what the problem is and figuring out how to solve it.